Welcome to class, everybody. We're going to be looking at a speech by Gary Yourofsky. Not the whole thing, but we're going to be looking at it in order to help one of our students, Derpion, to give a better speech. Going forward, we are really hoping that Derpion will become an animal rights activist like Gary Yourofsky. Right now, I'm going to be evaluating the speech that he did give, and I'm going to be writing some check marks if I think that something was good that I had seen, and some X's if something is bad. So I'm going to write here on the left side bad, and I'm going to write good. So did Derpion, right off the bat, show compassion when he watched a video, a documentary about animals? Actually, no, he didn't. He said that watching the animals suffer was boring. So he gets an X for that. Somebody like Gary Yourofsky, who you're going to see in the speech, would never have said that. He would have been filled with emotion, filled with passion and compassion. And going forward, Derpion, I hope that when you grow up to be a man, I know you're only 14 years old now, that you will follow in Gary's footsteps and be an amazing human who stands up for the underdog. You can do it. Let's have a look at a little bit of his speech here. First, we're going to listen to who is Gary Yourofsky. Well, he broke some laws. He was an animal rights activist, and he actually went to jail. But he did it because he was trying to save animals. That's Gary Yourofsky. He was protesting the fur industry, protesting the circus, the police came and arrested him just because he was protesting and taking a stand and trying to stop the circus. He chained himself to a car outside and chained himself to a car at a fur store as well to try to get attention, to say, I'm not moving until you stop hurting these animals, stop ripping their skin off of them, leave their fur on them. Animals have a right to their body integrity. Just a reminder, just to read this, in case you're trying to read it and I'm bent over and you can't quite see it. It says, I'm vegan because paying for the rape, kidnapping, and sadness and murder no longer tasted good. So I, like Gary Yourofsky, care deeply about the animals. I don't want anything bad to happen to them. I don't want them to suffer. Now, in Derpion's speech, did he talk about caring about whether the animals suffered? No. Did he talk about the dairy industry? No. Did he talk about the fur industry? No. Did he talk about that he cares about the egg industry and how the chickens are killed and hurt? No. Did he talk about any animal rights activists and praise them, such as Gary Yourofsky? No. During his presentation, was he seen eating any kind of vegan food? A fruit, a vegetable, nut, a seed, anything like that? No. So I'm sorry, Derpion, but you got a lot of X's. Oh, I just see my sign here. I just want to remind you all to subscribe to this channel. We're going to be doing a lot of reviews, a lot of report cards of everybody. Even the Prime Minister of Canada is going to get a report card. Maybe even the President of the United States. Everybody can get a report card from that vegan teacher. We're going to see who are the best, most compassionate people. And right now, if I was to give Gary Yourofsky a grade for his speech, well, I would give him 100%. I'm telling you right now, I've seen this video already. And he talks about compassion, and he's brave, and he cares, and he has put his own life on the line to help reduce their suffering. Let's keep watching. You can see Gary here with a protest sign. They were walking in a circle with signs and telling people to stop hurting animals.
Breaking laws, from people from Jesus Christ to Nelson Mandela, from Rosa Parks to Martin Luther King, laws have always been broken to facilitate substantive change.
Today's speaker holds a BA in journalism from Oakland University and a radio broadcasting degree from Specs Howard School of Broadcast Arts. Gary Yourofsky has already experienced more than many people will ever want to in a lifetime. He's been arrested more than 10 times and spent 77 days at a maximum security detention center, all in the name of animal rights.
That means he was in jail for 77 days because he rescued a bunch of baby animals, which are minks, that were being raised and they were going to be turned into mink coats. Nobody needs a mink coat. We can make coats out of other things.
Gary has lectured in hundreds of schools nationwide, including the University of Connecticut, Michigan State, and Bowling Green. Author Charlotte Montgomery even included a chapter about Gary in her book, Blood Relations. Please welcome National Lecturer Gary Yourofsky.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gary Yourofsky. Please take a moment and jot down my email address and my website in case you want to contact me later on. Today we're going to talk about the world's forgotten victims, animals. And the world's oldest and strongest addiction, meat. I'm going to challenge your belief systems today, so certain parts of the speech will be intense. But let me start with a quick disclaimer. I am not here to be your enemy. The views expressed today do not necessarily reflect the views of your professor or this institution. I am not trying to take you away from your religion. No religion mandates meat eating.
That means no religion says you have to eat meat. So he's trying to say, look, keep your religion. Just don't be mean to the animals.
The golden rule states, do unto others as you would have done unto yourself. Animals qualify as others. And thou shalt not kill. The four most important yet most ignored words in all religious teachings. There's not an asterisk next to that commandment saying, unless you walk on all fours, have fur, feathers, horns, beaks, or gills. You can keep your friends, your politics, and your patriotism, still watch your favorite TV shows and listen to your favorite music, even if it's Ted Nugent. I'll be making some sarcastic yet truthful comments throughout the speech. Please feel free to laugh while I'm being sarcastic. Just don't laugh during the serious parts.
Don't laugh during the serious parts. Derpion, during your speech, you were laughing during the serious parts when you were watching a documentary with your friends, and that's not okay. All right, you need to be a good boy. You need to not think that it's funny to watch others suffer. If you don't want to listen to me, listen to Gary Yourofsky. He's a wonderful, caring man. All men should be like Gary Yourofsky. Protectors. Compassionate protectors. Now, I don't know every single aspect of Gary Yourofsky's life, but from what I see, when I see his speeches and his activism, I find him to be a good role model because he cares. And we need more people who care in this world.
Now, I'm going to speak for around 65, maybe 70 minutes, but then we'll do a Q&A session after for about a half an hour, so hold your questions until then. In the meantime, I have some rhetorical questions for you. Is slavery, owner, victim, profit, domination, exclusive to the human race? Have blacks, Jews, women, and children been the only victims of this atrocity? Have not cows been enslaved? What about pigs, chickens, turkeys, fish, sheep? If they're not enslaved, then what are they? Free?
No.
Can slavery have a victim that is neither human nor animal? Have not the oceans, the forests, the earth itself become victims of ownership too? And what about a slaughterhouse? House of slaughter. Slaughterhouse. Do you really think there's such a thing as humane slaughter? Exactly what is your definition of humane? Besides psychological and physical abuse, torture, dismemberment, and murder, what else do you think happens to animals inside of a slaughterhouse? You think they get belly rubs and tushy slaps? And if you think there's such a thing as humane slaughter, I'm curious, do you also think there's such a thing as humane rape? Humane child molestation? Humane slavery? How about a humane Holocaust? In fact, what is your definition of a Holocaust? Is it a massacre of human beings or a massacre of innocent beings?
Innocent beings.
I thought it was innocent, which brings us to the biggest Holocaust massacre of all. Every year in America, without mercy, we murder 10 billion land animals and 18 billion marine animals.
It's much more than that now. This video is over 10 years old, and the number of animals that are murdered is atrocious. Much more than that.
Not for health, survival, sustenance, or self-defense.
We don't murder them for those things because we don't need to eat animals for health. We don't need to drink milk or eat cheese. We don't eat any meat. The Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics has stated that a vegan diet is healthy for all stages of development. And so there's no excuse. It's not a reason to hurt animals just because you like the way that they taste. Always put yourself in the place of the victim.
People eat meat, cheese, milk, and eggs for 4 reasons: habit, tradition, convenience, taste. I want to define a word that might be new to some people right now, and it's vegan. It's up there on the screen, V-E-G-A-N. Vegans, like vegetarians.
Isn't that interesting that he's in a university and he's teaching them what the word vegan means? Many people actually don't even know what it means. Now, all of you watching know because you've come to That Vegan Teacher's channel. And by now, if you've watched me enough, you know what it means. But you'd be surprised at how many people don't know the difference between being vegan or vegetarian, or they'd never even heard the word before.
Do not consume the meat of any land or marine animal. Vegans, however, unlike vegetarians, also refrain from eating cheese, milk, eggs, honey, or any animal product whatsoever. We also don't wear animal skins, no fur, leather, wool, silk, or down. Now,
Down means feathers. We don't wear the feathers of an animal because we believe that the feathers belong on the animal. We believe the feathers belong on the ducks and on the geese, and we have no right to take them from them.
I want to let y'all know that I was not raised vegan.
Neither was I.
ate cheese, milk, and eggs for around 25 years. I used to wear
Me longer than that.
leather shoes and belts and jackets like everyone else. In fact, around 20 years ago, I even owned a fur coat. Needless to say, I understand your lifestyle. It used to be mine. And for people involved in politics, let's get this out of the way right now. I am not a Democrat, an anarchist, or some hippie with a closet full of tie-dye shirts. I'm not a Republican, a socialist, or a fascist. I'm an activist. Root word is active. I've been banned from 5 countries so far and arrested 13 times.
He's not allowed to go into 13 different countries because he was there protecting animals, saving animals from harm. So he put his own well-being on the line. That's how caring of a person he is. That's how much he wanted to raise awareness. Now, I am just on TikTok and here on YouTube trying to raise awareness, but my life is not at stake the way his is. Well, I have been given a lot of death threats, but besides that, I did not put myself physically under a car to try to get people to stop going to the circus or to do things like that. Although I have been to protests against different things. Before COVID, I was doing a lot of protesting like everybody else. We went and protested rodeos and Canada Goose, the store, and different shopping centers at the food courts. I was doing a lot of that stuff too. But not to the point where I got banned from any countries or arrested. I never did.
For random acts of kindness and compassion on behalf of my animal brothers and sisters. If you want to read up about that, check out my website. And today, I would love to give you a chance to actually do something and truly get involved. Because I understand a lot of people want to get involved. Honestly, I do. But putting a coexist bumper sticker on your car wearing a "What Would Jesus Do" bracelet, or sporting a peace and love and sunshine t-shirt. That is not getting involved.
Gary, if he ever met me, would probably say that I'm not even doing enough. Even though I have 1.7 million followers on TikTok and I work all the time, he would say, "You're not doing enough, Miss Kadie. You got to get out there as well and try to save the animals." And what can I say? I'm doing my best for the moment. I'm sorry, Gary, if it's not enough. I would love to meet this guy one day, actually. I would love to sit and talk to him and say thank you to him, because he helped to inspire me to be an animal rights activist.
I understand that we're all on a journey in life. We all have different likes and dislikes, different nationalities and religions too. But there's one thing that we need to have in common with each other, and that's peace. Genuine compassion and genuine peace for our planetary companions. Contrary to political and religious dogma, animals do not belong to us. They are not commodities. They're not property, and they're not inanimate, stupid objects who can't think and feel. That Descartes Cartesian way of looking at animals like they're machines, it is outdated and, quite frankly, 100% insane. Because if we all understand that animals can use their eyes to see, ears to hear, noses to smell, mouths to eat, legs to walk, feathers to fly, fins to swim, genitalia to procreate, bowels to defecate, I'm always perplexed that most people don't believe that they can also use their brains to think, feel, be rational, be aware, and be self-aware. Am I supposed to believe that every body part on an animal functions just like it's supposed to? Except the brain? Those lies are thick. The propaganda from the animal abusers is enormous.
Yeah.
I mean, when was the last time you turned on TV and saw a commercial for shiitake mushrooms?
Never.
People singing and dancing down the streets, having a good time, eating mushrooms. How about alfalfa sprouts? Quinoa. It's a seed. Radishes.
No.
Raspberries.
No.
Tofu.
Not that either.
You don't see that stuff advertised on TV. What do you see instead? Have some more meat. Have some more cheese. Have some more cheese on your meat. Meat, cheese, double cheese, extra cheese. And how about a little more cheese with your meat? Have some more cow's milk. Have some more eggs. And then what do you see interspersed between those advertisements? Not feeling so well? Need to see a cancer specialist? How about a heart doctor? Need some Lipitor, Zocor, Crestor, Plavix? Need some diet pills? How about some energy drinks? Some Kaopectate, Tums, Pepto-Bismol. You've been duped. They're killing you, they're killing the animals, and they're killing this planet. And those blinders are on nice and tight. But if you give me an open mind today, that's all I ask for, an open mind, I'm going to take your blinders right off. My goal is simple. All I want to do is reconnect people with animals.
You see how he says he wants them to reconnect? It's the same thing that I'm telling you. I'm saying that you were born vegan and you became disconnected from that. And I'm trying to get you to reconnect to who you were born like. You were born vegan. You never wanted to hurt animals. The only reason that you started eating them is because your parents came at you with a spoon or a fork full of dead flesh, some eggs, cheese, a cup full of milk. But if you had known the violence that goes in there, do you think that you would have decided to go ahead and eat or drink them anyway? Most people would not do that if they knew. But now what's happened is you're so used to it. You've been doing it 3 times a day for your whole life that when that vegan teacher comes and says you got to stop, you freak out because you think, what is she talking about? She must be insane. She must be crazy. But vegans are not crazy. Vegans are compassionate, loving people. We want you to help us to save the animals and at the same time to save the planet and at the same time to save yourselves. Because you live on the planet and your health will improve as well. Just eat a healthy, well-balanced vegan diet and you will be fine. You will thrive.
Awaken some emotions and some feelings and some logic that has been buried and suppressed intentionally by our society.
When I talk about you, Derpion, and it worries me that you say that when you watch animals suffering, that you find it boring. You feel the need to talk instead of just sitting and observing and allowing your heart to care. That's what Gary's talking about here. He says he wants to awaken in you, in all of us, this feeling of compassion and empathy. All of us have suffered at some point. What we need to do is tap into that and remember how we suffered. Because every time that somebody has been done wrong to you and you've suffered, you have two choices. One is you can decide, well, that person treated me badly, so I'm going to now treat others badly. I'm going to treat the rest of the world badly, or I'm going to treat the animals badly. Or you can make the decision that you don't want to keep on with that cycle. You want to break the cycle. You want to be a good person. You want to help people so that nobody else has to feel like you felt. That's what we want.
And the reason why I say reconnect, it's because each and every person in this room used to be a real animal rights person at one time, a true animal lover, and a real friend of the animal kingdom. And it's when we were kids. When we were young, when we were kids, man, we used to be in awe of animals. They used to make us laugh and giggle and smile. They made us pretty happy. And there was a time in our lives when we would do just about anything in the world to make them happy as well, to protect them from cruelty, or to at least acknowledge the cruelty they were receiving. I mean, if somebody was mean to an animal in front of us when we were little, we would have screamed and cried.
Yeah.
And that's because we all used to understand right from wrong when it came to the treatment of animals, until somebody told us and taught us differently. You better believe somebody told us to ignore their suffering, to mock and excuse their pain and their misery, to make fun of their very existence.
What happened to you, Derpion? Derpion, my 14-year-old who watched this, my student, who made an oral presentation, who thought it was okay to make money on his YouTube videos while making fun of animals and animal rights activists. What happened to you? Well, the same thing that happened to many people. You weren't born as a mean person who wants to hurt animals. So you got to try to get back to that, reconnect with that person. I know you can do it. I know it.
And this is something I want you to focus on today, tomorrow, and beyond. What in the hell happened along the way? Who taught us to be so mean and nasty and vicious and hateful, or indifferent towards animals when they used to be our friends? These are innocent beings who have done nothing wrong to us. Because I'm pretty sure we can all agree in at least one thing right now, that hatred in its purest form is a learned behavior. Racism, sexism, heterosexism, anti-Semitism, misogyny, these are all learned behaviors. When kids are 2, 3, 4 years old playing on a playground, they could care less about the color of their friend's skin or the religious background. I don't think there's any doubt that hatred in its purest form is learned. So speciesism is no different. This could be a new word to a lot of people. It's up here on the screen, right below vegan. It's the word species, with an ism attached to it. And I want to define this word as the unethical, unprincipled point of view that the human species has every right to exploit, enslave, and murder another species. And all because we believe that our species is so more special, so more superior than the other ones. We're the only ones that count, and we're the only ones that matter.
Not true, though.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that line of thinking, that thought process, That is the basis of all forms of discrimination. One group saying and thinking they're more special than everyone else, and they proceed to exploit them, oppress them, denying them their right to be free. They treat them like property. They enslave them in many cases, and in many other cases they murder them with premeditation and without penalty. And understand something essential about discrimination. It is never okay to be picking and choosing which forms of discrimination to be opposed to.
That's
Which
right.
ones to say are evil, racism, and which ones to say are okay, speciesism. Discrimination is evil on its foundation, or it's not. Cannot have this one both ways. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
I want to ask you to use some empathy right now. And when I say empathy, what I'm saying is place yourself in the position of the animals and start to view this issue from the animal's point of view, from the victim's point of view. When you examine any form of injustice, whether humans are victims or animals are victims, please remember the victim's point of view. If you are not the victim, don't examine it entirely from your point of view, because when you're not the victim, it becomes pretty easy to rationalize and excuse cruelty, injustice, inequality, slavery, and even murder. But when you're the victim, things look a lot differently from that angle.
Derpion, I want you to try to imagine that you are the victim. And how would you feel? How would you feel if aliens came to Earth and they thought that you would make a good snack? I think that you would be running and trying to hide behind that vegan teacher. And you would say, "Help! Save me!" And of course I would roll my sleeves off and I would protect you. Say, "Don't you touch him! Go away! He is not a McNugget." That's what I would say. I would protect you, Derpion. So you have a job going forward, and that is to protect the animals. Okay, I know you're not there yet, but it takes 100 clicks until you're vegan. It has to hit your head. It has to hit your heart. You have to start to imagine that you are the victim and go forward that way. Just decide in your head you don't want to steal anymore. You don't want to steal anything from animals that doesn't belong to you, and no parts of them belong to you. Not their fur, not their feathers, not their bodies, not their eggs, not their milk. It all belongs to them. Leave the animals alone. And as you're going through your day, you can ask your parents to buy you vegan foods, healthy vegan foods. And all of you can go on the computer and Google healthy vegan recipes and go and find them. And go and Google amazing vegan athletes and go and check them out and see what they're doing. What are they eating? You know, if you can have vegan athletes in the Olympics, then for sure you guys can be vegan, right? Right. I'm not going to watch the rest. We watched 15 minutes and 38 seconds. We're going to watch the rest at another class. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Derpion, I don't know if you've learned anything here today, but I hope you have. And for everybody else, please remember to like and to subscribe to my channel. And we are going to be learning a lot more going forward. Just hit the little button down there. Just tap it. Boink, and then we will all be together to learn in the future. And we're going to say goodbye to our cute little pig here, who says thank you to Gary. Oh, that goes off the screen there. Thank you, Gary. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.